Hi, Church. Pastor Jeff here with another Trinity check-in. I want to make sure that everybody has the best chance possible to see the video that we put together with where we are on the building campaign. So you'll have a chance to watch it here on this video in just a moment. First, though, if you aren't able to watch it on the video, or if you'd rather see it in a different way, know that we're going to have two viewing sessions. One of them is going to be Sunday, May 3rd at 11:45. So in other words, after second service, and that's this Sunday. The other will be Wednesday, May 6th. That's 1 week from this evening at 6:30 p.m. Both of those are going to be in the youth room. And if you want to watch the video there, you have the bonus of having some of the building committee members there as well. For questions and answers afterwards. We're going to do it down in the youth room. If you haven't been in the youth room in a while, there's a nice big TV on one wall, so it'll be good for watching the video and making sure we all have the same facts. There's nice tables and couches to sit around on. And then afterwards, we'll have the questions and answers, and we'll do our best to answer whatever questions you might have. Then, on Sunday, May 17th, so what's that, a couple weeks from now, 2-3 weeks from now, we will have a one combined service at 9 o'clock. I've already talked to Michael, and we're going to work some hymns in. We're going to make it a true combination of the two worship services at 9. And then at 10:30, when we would normally be having second service, we will instead have a special church conference to consider the questions that our building committee and our church council have brought before us on decisions that we need to make with where we go with the building project. So I hope that you will be there for that. We've tried to put it at a time when as many people as possible can. And I hope that you'll think about what's in the video as we get to that point. Because honestly, it does take a little bit of chewing on to get all of the facts straight so that you'll have the best opinion you can to weigh in once we get to the 17th. So, like I say, we're going to watch the video here in a few minutes. This will be a chance for you to watch it as well. Before I hit the button, though, Justice in Action, tomorrow night, the Nehemiah Action at St. Mark's United Methodist. I've got my ticket right here. They're free tickets. It's just mostly to make sure we know where everybody's from, what churches they're from when you go. If you don't have a ticket, you can get one at the door. It will start at 6:30. I would recommend getting there early, however, because there will be a lot of people. This is a strength in numbers kind of thing. It's a wonderful way to put your faith into action and to help do some good in our community. So I hope that you will be there tomorrow night for that. With that said, let's watch the video if you haven't seen it already. We're going to turn to picture now. Well, here we are at another decision point in the process of expanding our facilities, and it has been so exciting as we've gone through all of this process and the fundraising, which was exactly 1 year ago that we started Prepare the Way, to see the energy that everyone brought, the questions that have come up, and here we are at one of those decisions points. Before I talk, I'm going to do a little introduction. Before I talk anymore, I want to make sure you know Jim Lose. Can say hi, Jim.
Hello, everybody.
You didn't say hi, Jim, but that's all right. That's a cheesy joke. Jim is the chair of our building committee. Joshua Berry was chairing both the building side and the fundraising side, and we decided there was a little too much for one person, and we're so grateful that Jim took over the building side. He's done a great job so far, and is probably the best person for questions at this time anyway. So let me start by saying where we are in the process. At every step of the way, I've shown you a timeline graphic, and I want to show it to you again. I've expanded it just a little now that we know more. So we started early on with a study committee. The church voted that this was worth pursuing. We did that in a charge conference, it's called. And you probably remember, what most people probably remember is when when the full church voted to start fundraising. That was early on, and it's one of the big decisions, or no, it's, forget that part. It was a big moment and an important moment, and it was the church throwing their weight behind the desire to do something and to do the project. Now, I'm sure everybody, whenever you have this many people, everybody understands it a little differently, but we made a point of saying that we don't quite know the shape of things yet. What we really voted to do in that meeting was to begin fundraising and to continue along the process. But we intentionally, this actually happened on the floor of that conference, we decided to save the official required vote for later because we didn't think we knew quite enough yet. And sure enough, as we've gone along, starting the fundraising last year helped us to know how much money we could raise, or at least have a better idea. And that tells us, what part of what that told us is that we have a decision to make. We can't quite build everything at once that we were at first hoping to do, and so our church council and our building committee have been working to provide the church with a slate of options to help decide what our focus is. So this building that we're in now, this is phase one, and I want to make sure nobody calls what we're about to do phase one, because this is phase one and so many gave sacrificially to that. What we're about to do is phase two, and probably part of our project will be saved for phase three. So what we have to present to you today is a slate of options of what it might look like. And so with that, Jim,
okay,
tell them what we've been working on.
Sure. Building committee has been charged by church council to look at we have a total of 5 options that we're going to present today. And then building committee has worked for the last couple of months to go over these options from our architect, and building committee has a recommendation to share with you at the end of this video. So we're going to start with what we call option 1, which is option 1 is the original project plan, which was a sanctuary and an education wing. And if you remember, that came in around $12 million. And that project included sanctuary with roughly 8,400 square feet of sanctuary space, total of over 13,000 square foot if you include the sanctuary, multipurpose, and support spaces. We were also adding 6 additional classrooms with some support space for the classrooms. So this is a good review of the original project to keep in mind. Both sanctuary and education wing, $12 million.
And you know what I didn't say in my introduction but should have? That is what we think our fundraising capacity is.
Yes, that would be good.
So it's worth saying that there are some gifts that we don't have. People who are waiting to hear more before they commit. The bank has told us that we can borrow about 3. We currently have raised 2 1/4, and so 3 plus 2 1/4. We think, and with some gifts not yet committed, we think we have a fundraising capacity of about $6 million, including the financing. $6 million. So once we learned that, the $12 million on option 1 started to look a little bit different, right? And that's of course why we're here.
Right. So option 1 obviously isn't to build this or go forward with this today. This is the kind of a save and plan for the future.
Option 1 is keep saving.
Yep.
We keep saving, and of course prices go up a little bit each year, and there's kind of the trade-offs of option 1 to just keep saving.
Sure. Okay, so let's look at option 2. We have 2 options for education wing only, and we have 2 options for sanctuary only. So option 2, education wing north option. It's a lot of words, but this is building an education wing only going to the north.
So this is the current building.
Right.
It currently cuts off right about here, and so it would be essentially digging out where the elevator is into the hill and continuing on.
And our cost here for this option comes in at $5,568,490. It includes pre and post function space as well as some multi-purpose space you can see up here. It includes information specifically for the sloped site and reinforced west foundation for building a future sanctuary here if we went this way. The key things to note here, this is a 2-level education wing with 3 classrooms on the lower level, 3 classrooms on the upper level, which you'll see here.
We have the
on the next slide. You can see that we've added another check-in space on the lower level to be somewhat in line with our current spaces. Some additional restrooms and mechanical space on the lower level. Upper level over here is a little harder to see behind me, but additional restrooms are built in with 3 classrooms and some multi-purpose space.
So one of the things that it does is it splits classrooms into 3 distinct areas. This is the existing area. There'd be 3 classrooms here, and then you'd have to go upstairs for the other 3 classrooms, which is not out of the question for the child care. For Sunday school, it's a little easier. For the child care, it's not out of the question, but
less than ideal.
Yeah, it's less than ideal.
Yep. So again, option 2, education wing to the north, and $5 million roughly and a half for cost on that option.
Well, I should say one other con with this one, let me go back to the previous image here, is if we, when we build a sanctuary later after this for a phase 3, we would have to shut down the wing in order to do that.
Yes,
which would be
the top level. They would.
At least the top level, which would be a problem for lots of things.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Option 3. Option 3 is also an education wing only option. This one comes in at $4,229,000. It does have roughly 3,000 square feet less than the other education wing option. It's a single story addition. And as you can see, again, get out of the way here a little bit, it goes out to the east on the lower level. So it would be adjacent to the playground, and it would come right out the door that many people come in right now on Sunday. And it saves this space for future sanctuary should we go this route to begin with. So still 6 classrooms, a little bit of multi-purpose space, less than the other education
a little
wing.
more open.
But it is adjacent and kind of congruent to the current education space as well as the playground. So it kind of wraps all of the education spaces together into one coordinated space, if you will.
Yeah, I have no doubt. So there are all sorts of benefits here. The shape of the rooms just makes sense. The entrance and check-in area off the parking lot would be beautiful. The playground is a little more sheltered, which is nice. Right now, to get from the building into the playground, you actually walk out unprotected into the parking lot for a little ways. This is just right into it. So there are a lot of benefits there, and I'm sure everybody already notices what the con is.
Yeah, so with this plan, you're going to lose 18 parking spaces.
Was it 8? I was thinking it was a little fewer than that.
It was 18, you're going to gain 10 back.
Construction.
So the net loss was 8 parking spaces.
Lose 18, gain 10 back. So
right.
we do lose parking spaces, but not a lot.
Not as many as I thought we would, actually.
Right. So there you are. But there's a lot of gain with that, too.
Yes. Okay, so that's education wing east option. So now we're going to look at 2 options for the sanctuary if we were to go.
We have a zoomed in version here too.
Sorry. So this just shows you again, and don't mind the actual square footages. Some of this obviously would change. These are just colored boxes, if you will, like our architects.
All of these are just sketches. They're not finalized at all.
This just really shows you how it all ties together. That's the nice thing about this image.
So there we are, the 2 education wing options. Let me guess what's next.
Sanctuary only options. So we have 2 of those as well. This one is option 4, and the way the architects laid this out for us, they call this reduced scope, because the sanctuary in the original plan was coming in at around 9 million. And so if we're looking at a number of 6 million, we obviously have to cut some things in the sanctuary. So this one is called reduced scope, coming in at about 6 million.
Yeah, we actually said if our cap is 6 million,
what can you do for it? Yep. So the original plan shows for a sanctuary, like I mentioned earlier, of 8,400 square feet and around $9 million. This option reduces the sanctuary to around 5,100 square feet. And it reduces the overall project from 13,880 for sanctuary, multipurpose, and support spaces to 8,400. So as you can tell, we're reducing the size fairly significantly. And the picture on the next slide will show what that looks like.
This was the sanctuary from the $12 million option, except with redded off there, what we'd have to cut.
So the red areas are where we would cut. And again, don't worry about where this sanctuary is specified currently as far as crime space.
The lines inside of it, yeah.
But you can see it's a fairly significant reduction. We are also cutting this multi-purpose space in this plan, and the red on the lower level is actually reducing the mechanical room space in there, because you wouldn't need as much if you're just doing sanctuary up here and no education wing.
Right.
So,
I see that multi-purpose space on this one as high value.
Right.
I might try to find a way to try to keep that, but
Right.
this is what they gave us, is what a $6 million option would be like.
yep. Okay, so go ahead.
Want to talk seating wise?
Sure, go ahead.
So right now we can fit 300 to 350 in Spirit Hall, and there's some extra space left on the edges when we do that because the room is a lot wider than it is deep. But all of our chairs are 300, and then sometimes we bring in some folding chairs. So this option with the reduced scope would chairs are different depending on which chairs. The architects did not want to commit to a seating number, but it seemed clear to me that this option would seat about the same number that we do now. It would be in a permanent sanctuary space. There would be a lot of other advantages, but the number of people we could seat would be similar to what we have now.
Correct, doesn't change much. Yep.
Right.
Okay, so that is the first sanctuary option. We're calling that option 4. The other sanctuary option is the 5th of the 5 options we talked about. And really the only good way to describe this, according to the architects, was reduced fixtures and furnishings. So you'll see on the drawing, this is going to be the original size sanctuary that we went with on the original project of 8,400 square feet, still with the total of 13,880 with multi-purpose and support spaces. So where this one saves the money from the 9 to the 6 million is basically, like it says, fixtures inside and some of the furnishings and potentially some of the build materials. Some of those design decisions would have to be changed.
So maybe a little, I'm not an architect, but like maybe a little less on the decorative steel,
Right.
on the fancy stuff.
Yep.
So perhaps a little more plain? I don't know. I shouldn't even be saying that word.
But still looks like a sanctuary from
Right.
everything the architects had told us at
Would
the meeting.
still be a dedicated sanctuary space with,
Yep.
yeah.
So if we go to the picture for this one, you can see again that on the lower level it moves the mechanical space room to the same size of the original drawing. Sanctuary is original space. Multi-purpose room is back in with the restrooms here. So this is really the size of the original and current plan that we've been working under. It's just going to, like we said, have some reduced furnishings or fixtures or design choices is how I put it.
Yeah, I find it helpful how the architects describe the decision to us. So if the original hope was a $9 million for the sanctuary only, then you have 2 levers to get it down to 6.
Right.
One lever is to make it smaller and keep the same fixtures and furnishings, whatever word you want to use. The other lever is to keep it the same size, but reduce the fixtures and furnitures. And they did talk about, could we find a Goldilocks zone, somewhere in the middle that's just a little smaller and just a little different as far as its finishings. And they said, well, yes, to some extent. And what the building committee would be doing with the architects is looking for that Goldilocks zone.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, you kind of end up picking one or
Yep.
the other. And at this point in the decision making, that's where our prioritizing needs to be, is choosing which lever we want to go with.
Okay, so I just want to summarize for you kind of what these options were. So again, option 1, current project that we talked about and have been raising money for. We continue to fundraise, continue to save money for the $12 million plan of doing both education and sanctuary, knowing full well by the time we would get to that point, this number will be well north of 12 million, because that's just the way costs go.
It would take us a long time to get to that number. Yeah.
So if we decide to do something today and we're using the $6 million, $5.5 to $6 million number that we've been working with, option 2 was education wing, building to the north with the 2-level classroom design. Option 3 is education out to the east into the parking lot next to the playground and the education space we already have. Option 4 is sanctuary only, calling it reduced scope, so the smaller sanctuary. And option 5 is the sanctuary only with reduced fixtures, if you will. And that was the same size as the original sanctuary in the project, just with some reduced design choices is what I.
Oh, I should say, if option 4, the smaller sanctuary, would hold 3 to 350, then option 5 would still hold 4 to 450.
Right, that's what they said.
Right. So, you think Christmas Eve and Easter when we're maxed out to the walls, it's you never hit the max on a regular Sunday. What you look at are the peaks, or when there's a large funeral or something like that. That's where we would see the difference with that.
So as promised, I want to let you know that building committee did make a recommendation. If we can hit that next slide. I think we had a great couple of meetings with building committee. They considered all of these options. They also went back and we talked about the survey that was done at the very beginning of this project, which really showed a need and a desire and kind of an even split between an education wing or sanctuary as far as prioritizing those.
We care about both.
Right, both are obviously very important. So building committee took all of that under advisement, and building committee voted, I will say unanimously, to recommend option 5, which was building the sanctuary only and using the reduced fixtures or furnishings or design choices as they
I was going to say, I don't think everybody started there.
They did not at the beginning of the discussion.
But can I just say thank you to our building committee, not just to Jim, of course, Jim, but there's some good heads in that room, and some of them have been around buildings, newly built buildings recently, and so when they saw the cost per square foot information from the architects, they'd experienced that same cost per square foot, talked about what it would mean one way or the other, and yeah, it came around unanimous in that group that had been deepest in it along the way.
The discussion was lively.
It was.
There were several, all the options were actually very debated, I would say not fiercely, but they were debated. But I want to commend the committee as well. They got together and we were able to come up with a unanimous decision. So just again to be clear, the building committee, their recommendation is to go with the larger but simpler sanctuary. Yep, that's correct.
Yeah. So I want to just, so these are the 5 options, and we think it's important to present all of these options to the church. Our church council believes it's important that you see all 5 options. That said, short of number 1, because number 1 is continuing to save, which would take quite a long time, and we think it's important to present, but that would be a difficult road indeed. I like the way that Jim did the vote in building committee. I think it simplifies the decision-making process, and I want to share that with you. So you can think of this as 2 decisions. The first question to ask is, do we want to go with sanctuary first, or do we want to go with education wing first? That's really the decision that has to be made first. And again, this is phase 1 that we're in now, so we're talking phase 2 here. Do we want to go with sanctuary first or education wing first? Then, if you choose sanctuary first, which lever are we going to use? Reduced scope or reduced finishings? If we, or you in your own thinking, choose education wing first, are we going to go with the east option or are we going to go with the north option? So first, sanctuary or education wing, and then depending on which you choose, which. My apologies! I forgot to put my phone recording this video on Do Not Disturb, and somebody just called me. So whoever it was, I will duly give a hard time, and I apologize for that. But hopefully you get the idea about how we split it into 2 questions in building committee: sanctuary first or education first, and then the sub options from there.
And I think that's really what allowed building committee to get to a decision. Was we framed it first as, were we going to vote for sanctuary first or education wing first, and then once we decided on sanctuary, we could really dig into which of those options was better.
Right.
So I think that's a great way for you all to do that as well.
Right. Now back to the screen with the process. So what we're going to do is on May 17th, the district superintendent will come and lead a church conference. You know, this process is from the Book of Discipline, which I would love to tell you more about sometime. Believe me, I could talk for a long time. We literally went to school. But the best I've ever heard it put is that it's a record of how churches wish they had done things. It's wisdom from those who have gone before. And there are more steps than just what you see on this simplified graphic, but it makes sure that the conversations that should happen do happen. And we're actually still, what we decided last time was not to do the official vote yet, but to hold that off a little bit longer. And we're still in that space. What we're going to do on May 17th is not a final commitment to what we're building. What it is guidance to the building committee, taking the temperature of the church. Do we want to go with sanctuary first or education wing first? And if so, how, on which side? because it's how we do it in the United Methodist Church. The district superintendent will lead that conversation. We have a new district superintendent since last time, Reverend David Livingston. He is fantastic. I was so happy. Nothing against Nancy. I was so happy when David was chosen because he's very good at leading conversations like these. It's helpful to have somebody come from the outside. But I also want you to know that there will still be at least 2 votes for the whole church after this. The architect calls this the colored block phase. When we get to the end of that, the church can sign off on the design. Then we develop the full plans. That's going all the way down to which way the doors open and the electrical outlets and all of that. It's also getting bids on contractors like that. That happens in the full plan. And then it comes back to the whole church again for a final vote to break ground. So there are lots of other chances to weigh in. This is just a taking the temperature of things.
Yes. So I want to reiterate that we are open to and anxious to receive questions. So
yeah,
you can email, if you have my email, you can email me directly, or you can email Jeff and ask for mine. I would be more than happy to answer any questions that I can.
Yeah, we're planning to put this video in lots of places, so depending on where you get it, those email addresses might already be in front of you. Otherwise, we can always do that in the office. I know I was listening for questions. I had a pad to write down questions as we talked to swing back around to, and all I wrote was thanks, to remember to say thank you at the end. I'm sure you all have questions, though. If you are watching this video early on, when we first release it, know that there are 2 Q&A sessions coming up. I don't have the dates in front of me here, but we're going to do one Sunday after second service. We're going to do another one on a Wednesday evening. Hopefully that catches most, if not all of you. At those Q&A sessions, I'm going to be at all of them. Jim's going to be at all of them. We'll have as much of the building committee present too. And so that is perhaps the best place to ask a question. But of course, you can send it in any way, and we'll be able to answer that as best we can.
Yep. Thank you for your consideration of all of this, and I want to thank the building committee again for all of their work.
Absolutely, and thank you too, Jim. It's been a good process, and I cannot wait to see. You know, when, as I said at the beginning, when we started the Prepare the Way fundraising, the energy and excitement in the church, like we could feel it in the office. We were talking about it, and we're still in that place. It's exciting what we're doing here, and I can't wait to get the whole church together and talk about the next step.
Sounds good.
See you soon.